My parents went to Europe for a month, left me with $20 at age 11. When they returned, I made sure they regretted it. I was 11 years old that summer. Everything changed. Looking back now at 29, I can see all the warning signs I missed as a kid, desperately trying to believe my parents were normal. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Charlotte, North Carolina. From the outside, we looked like the perfect family. My parents, Diane and Richard, both worked in pharmaceutical sales, drove matching Lexus SUVs, took trips to the Cayman Islands and St. Lucia. My best friend Brooklyn always said I was lucky, but Brooklyn didn't see what happened behind our colonial-style white door with the black shutters. She didn't see how I'd learned to make scrambled eggs at age 6 because dinner wasn't guaranteed. How I'd walk to school alone starting in 2nd grade because my parents couldn't be bothered with the carpool lane. How I taught myself to run the washing machine at 8 because I ran out of clean clothes and my mom said she was too busy. "Figure it out, Jessica. You're a smart girl," was my mom's favorite phrase. My neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, noticed things before anyone else. She lived next door with her husband and their daughter, Autumn, who was in my grade at Pinewood Elementary. Mrs. Henderson was always outside tending her azaleas or walking their chocolate Labrador, Cooper, and she paid attention. "Jessica, sweetie, you walking to school again?" she asked one morning in March when I was in 5th grade. "Yeah, my parents had an early sales meeting. It's supposed to storm this afternoon. Let me drive you and Autumn." "That's okay. I have my raincoat." I insist. "Come on." In her warm car with the heated seats and country music playing softly while Autumn talked about our science fair project, I felt something I couldn't name. Later, I realized it was what being cared for actually felt like. My teacher, Mr. Garrett, started noticing things too. I'd fall asleep during afternoon lessons sometimes, not from laziness, but from being up late worrying about whether my parents had paid the electric bill or if we'd have power when I got home from school. "Jessica, can you stay after class?" Mr. Garrett asked one Thursday in April that I packed my backpack slowly while everyone else rushed out to recess. My stomach twisted with anxiety. Was I in trouble? "You're not in trouble," he said, reading my face. "I'm worried about you. You seem exhausted all the time. Is everything all right at home?" "Everything's fine. Are your parents doing okay? Are you eating enough? Getting enough sleep?" "Yeah, I'm just staying up watching TikTok too late. I'm fine, really." He studied me with concerned brown eyes behind tortoiseshell glasses. "My door is always open. If you need anything, and I mean anything, Jessica." I nodded, but I never took him up on it. What would I say? My parents weren't hitting me. They weren't yelling. They just existed in their own world where I was more like a houseplant than a daughter, requiring occasional watering but otherwise ignorable. My dad's sister, Aunt Lauren, called sometimes. She lived in Portland and rarely visited because my parents always had an excuse for why it wasn't a good time. "Hi, Jessie Bear. How's my favorite niece?" Aunt Lauren's warm voice came through the phone one Sunday when I answered. "I'm your only niece." Details. "How's 5th grade treating you?" "It's okay. We're reading Wonder in class." "Oh, that's a beautiful book. Are your parents around?" "They went to look at some waterfront condos for a client." A pause. "They left you alone?" "I'm 11. I'm fine." Well, tell them I called. "And Jessica, you can always call me if you need anything day or night. You have my number, right?" "Yeah, Aunt Lauren. Thanks." After we hung up, I sat in the empty house and wondered what it would be like to have parents who actually wanted to be around me. Parents who asked about my day, who knew the names of my teachers, who showed up to the spring concert where I'd performed a piano piece I'd been practicing for weeks. They'd both forgotten about it completely. Then came early May, 2 weeks before summer vacation started. I was doing homework at the kitchen table when my parents walked in together, which was unusual. They typically came home at different times and ate Chipotle separately while checking their phones. "Jessica, we need to talk," my mom said, and they both sat down across from me. My heart hammered. Were they getting divorced? Moving? Sending me to summer camp? "We've been working really hard this year," my dad started. "Both of us have been under tremendous pressure. Your father hit platinum level this quarter," my mom added like I understood what that meant. "We've decided to use his bonus for something we've always dreamed about. We're going to Europe," my dad said, grinning. "The Grand Tour: London, Paris, Rome, Barcelona. 5-star hotels, Michelin-starred restaurants, the works." "That sounds great," I said. "When?" "We leave May 20th, my mom said. "Right after your school ends." "For how long?" "A month. 30 glorious days." My mom's eyes sparkled with excitement I'd never seen directed at me. My mouth went dry. "What about me? What about you?" my dad asked, genuinely confused. Where will I stay? Here, obviously. This is your home, Jessica. I stared at them. You're leaving me alone for a month. You're almost 12, my mom said. You're incredibly mature for your age. You can handle it. But I'm 11. I'm not even old enough to. Don't be dramatic, my dad interrupted. Legally, it's fine in North Carolina as long as you're capable and we leave provisions, which we will. What kind of provisions? Money for food. The bills are all paid up. Mrs. Henderson is right next door if there's an emergency, which there won't be. How much money? My dad pulled out his wallet and placed a $20 bill on the table like he was presenting treasure. I looked at the 20. That's it. That's plenty, my mom said. There's food in the house: mac and cheese, ramen, canned soup. You know how to cook basic meals. $20 is more than enough for extras. For a whole month. Jessica, you're being difficult, my mom snapped. Do you know how many people never get to see Europe? We've worked our entire lives for this. We deserve it. What if something happens to me? Like what? My dad asked, annoyed. The house is safe. You know not to open the door for strangers. You're not a baby. Can I at least stay with Brooklyn's family? We're not imposing on other people, my mom said firmly. Besides, her parents would judge us. No, you're staying here. End of discussion. That was it. Decision made. My opinion irrelevant. The next 2 weeks crawled by. I told Brooklyn my parents were going on a trip but lied and said my aunt was staying with me. I told Autumn the same thing. The shame of the truth was too heavy. Mr. Garrett assigned summer reading lists on the last day of school. Have a wonderful summer, everyone. Stay safe and keep reading. I wondered if I would be safe. 11 years old, alone for 30 days. May 20th arrived. My parents' Uber came at 4:30 in the morning. I heard them loading designer luggage into the trunk. My mom poked her head into my room where I was pretending to sleep. Bye, sweetie. Be responsible. Don't burn the house down. We'll text you pictures. Then the door closed. The car drove away. Silenced, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with panic. This was real. This was actually happening. The first few days weren't terrible. School was out so I could sleep in. I made myself breakfast, Lucky Charms and toaster waffles. I watched Netflix. I read books from the library. The house felt massive and empty, every creak and noise making me jumped. I inventoried the food on day 2. The pantry held 2 boxes of Kraft mac and cheese, a bag of rice, 3 cans of Campbell's chicken noodle soup, a jar of Jif peanut butter, and some stale Doritos. The fridge contained milk that would expire in 5 days, a wilted head of lettuce, expired sour cream, 2 White Claws, and condiments. I did math in my head. If I was careful, I could make it work. Brooklyn texted on day 3. Want to go to Carowinds Saturday? Can't. No money. Ask your aunt for some. She's being strict about spending. That sucks. Maybe next week. Maybe. I made mac and cheese for dinner that night, sitting alone at the kitchen table. The $20 bill sat on the counter untouched. I was saving it for when I really ran out of food. By day 6, I'd finished the milk and was rationing the peanut butter. I made plain rice for dinner. No butter, no salt, no seasoning, just white rice. My stomach hurt, but I didn't know if it was from hunger or anxiety or loneliness. On day 7, Mrs. Henderson knocked on the door while I was reading on the front porch. It was late afternoon, and I was dizzy from skipping lunch. Hi, Jessica. Beautiful day, isn't it? Yeah. Where are your parents? I haven't seen them in over a week. They're traveling. Oh, nice. Where? Europe. How wonderful. Who's staying with you? I hesitated too long. Mrs. Henderson's smile faded. Jessica. Who is staying with you? Nobody. But I'm fine. I'm almost 12. You're home alone? For how long? They've been gone 7 days. When are they coming back? 3 more weeks. Mrs. Henderson's face went through several expressions: shock, disbelief, anger. A month. They left you alone for a month. I'm okay, really. Did they leave you money? Food. I didn't want to answer. Mrs. Henderson came inside without asking, went straight to the pantry, and opened it. She stared at the nearly empty shelves. Jessica, how much money did they leave you? $20. Show me. I got the 20 from the counter. Mrs. Henderson looked at it like it was something toxic. $20. For a month. For an 11-year-old child. Her voice shook. Have you spent any of it yet? No, I'm saving it for when I run out of food. When you run, Jessica, you've already run out of food. What did you eat today? Rice. Just rice. I nodded. Yesterday. Mac and cheese. Just the pasta. No milk or butter left. Mrs. Henderson pulled out her phone. You're eating at my house tonight. And every night until your parents come home. No arguments. I don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden. You're a child whose parents abandoned her. Come on. That evening I sat at the Henderson table and ate real food for the first time in over a week. Southern fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, cornbread. I tried not to cry while I ate, but Mrs. Henderson saw after dinner. Mrs. Henderson called Mr. Henderson into their bedroom. I could hear their raised voices through the wall. This is neglect, Stephen. This is actual child neglect. Are you sure she's not exaggerating? Maybe there's family checking on her. I went through their pantry. She's been eating plain pasta and rice. She has $20 for a month. $20. Jesus Christ. We need to call someone. I'm calling David Garrett first, her teacher. Then we're calling social services. I sat on their couch numb. Social services meant child protective services. I knew that much from TV. Would I go to foster care? Would my parents go to jail? Mr. Garrett arrived within an hour. Mrs. Henderson must have made it sound urgent. My teacher sat next to me on the couch, his face serious. Jessica, Mrs. Henderson told me what's happening. I need you to be completely honest with me. How long have your parents been gone? 7 days. When are they coming back? 23 more days. Did they leave you with adult supervision? No. Did they leave you adequate food and money? I shook my head and then I started crying. Real crying, the kind that comes from deep inside where you've been holding everything together for too long. Mr. Garrett hugged me while I sobbed. You're safe now, he whispered. We're going to fix this. The next morning, Mrs. Henderson called Child Protective Services. A caseworker named Angela arrived that afternoon. A no-nonsense woman with shoulder-length black hair and kind eyes who had clearly seen everything. Angela interviewed me privately in the Henderson living room. She asked detailed questions and took notes. Have your parents ever left you alone before? Overnight sometimes. A weekend once. But never this long. Do you have other family? My Aunt Lauren. My dad's sister. She lives in Portland. When was the last time you saw her? 2 years ago. My parents don't like her visiting. They say she's too judgmental. Angela wrote that down. Do you feel safe in your home? I don't feel unsafe. I just feel forgotten. That's a very insightful answer, Jessica. She photographed the empty pantry, documented everything, and called my Aunt Lauren while I sat there. I could hear my aunt's voice rising on the other end. They did what? I'm flying down right now. Today. I'll be there by tonight. Aunt Lauren arrived at 7 p.m., bursting through the Henderson door and pulling me into a fierce hug. She smelled like lavender and felt solid and real in a way my parents never had. I'm so sorry, Jessie Bear. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. I should have checked on you more. I knew Diane and Richard were selfish, but this? She pulled back to look at me. You're never going back to living like this. Never. Angela explained the process. We're filing an emergency custody petition. Given that Jessica has a willing relative who wants guardianship, we're likely to get temporary placement with you, Lauren. But there will be a court hearing when the parents return. Good, Aunt Lauren said grimly. I want them to face what they've done. For the next 3 weeks, I lived with Aunt Lauren in a hotel near my house. She'd taken emergency leave from her job as a graphic designer to stay with me. Every day felt surreal. Eating regular meals, having someone ask about my day, feeling like I mattered. Mrs. Henderson and Mr. Garrett gathered evidence. Photos of the empty pantry. Statements from Brooklyn about my lies about having supervision. My school record showing my fatigue and distraction. Testimony from other neighbors about seeing me alone constantly. Mr. Henderson, who worked as an accountant, helped document everything with spreadsheets and timelines. Autumn drew me pictures to cheer me up. Even Cooper the dog seemed to know I needed extra cuddles. My parents returned on June 19th, tanned and glowing, full of stories about Big Ben and the Eiffel Tower and the Colosseum. They walked into the house expecting to find me there. Instead, they found Aunt Lauren. Where's Jessica? My mom demanded. Somewhere safe. Which is more than you provided for her. My dad looked confused. What are you talking about, Lauren? There was a knock at the door. My mom answered it to find Mrs. Henderson, arms crossed, face furious. Can I help you? My mom asked coldly. Can you help me? Can you help me? Mrs. Henderson's voice shook with rage. You left your 11-year-old daughter alone for a month with $20. Mrs. Henderson, you're overreacting. Jessica is very mature for her age. Mature? She was eating mac and cheese with no milk for 2 weeks straight. She ran out of food. My dad came to the door. We gave her money. $20. For a month. What is wrong with you? This is none of your business, my mom said icily. I made it my business when I started feeding your starving child. She's been eating at my house for 3 weeks because she had no food. We left plenty of food. You left expired sour cream and 3 cans of soup for 30 days. Mr. Henderson appeared behind his wife. We've contacted Child Protective Services. They've already filed emergency custody paperwork. There's a court hearing in 2 days. My parents' faces went white. You had no right to interfere. We had every right. You neglected your child. That's illegal. That's criminal. My parents slammed the door. Through the walls, I could hear the screaming match from the hotel room where Aunt Lauren and I were staying nearby. The court hearing was surreal. I sat with Angela while a judge listened to testimony. Mrs. Henderson spoke first, describing finding me alone and malnourished. Mr. Garrett testified about my exhaustion and distraction during the school year, patterns he now understood. Mr. Henderson presented his documentation, photos, dates, receipts from feeding me. My parents' lawyer tried to argue that I'd been fine, that I was fed by neighbors, that it was an error in judgment but no real harm occurred. The judge cut him off. No real harm? She's an 11-year-old child who was abandoned for 30 days with $20 and inadequate food. The only reason she didn't suffer more serious harm is because neighbors intervened. He turned to my parents. You prioritized a luxury vacation over your daughter's basic needs. You didn't arrange supervision. You didn't ensure adequate food or money. You didn't even call to check on her. We sent her pictures, my mom said weakly. On Instagram. Pictures. The judge looked disgusted. I'm granting temporary full custody to Lauren Hayes pending a final hearing in 90 days. You will have supervised visitation only, if Jessica chooses to see you. My parents tried to protest. The judge shut them down. Over the next 3 months, the full case built. Financial records showed my parents had spent $11,000 on their European vacation. They'd stayed in luxury hotels, eaten at Michelin-starred restaurants, bought designer clothes and jewelry. $11,000 while leaving their daughter with 20. Their friends started distancing themselves when word spread. My mom lost a major client after they learned about the case. Something about reputation concerns. My dad's company quietly moved him to a different territory. Aunt Lauren wouldn't speak to them. The final custody hearing happened in September. The judge reviewed everything and made his ruling permanent. Full custody to Lauren Hayes. Diane and Richard will pay child support and cover all legal fees. Visitation will remain supervised unless Jessica requests otherwise. I never requested otherwise. I'm 29 now. I live in Seattle with Aunt Lauren, or just Lauren as I call her now. She adopted me when I was 13 legally and officially. I graduated from UW with a degree in social work. I help kids who remind me of 11-year-old Jessica. Brooklyn and I are still friends, though she lives in Denver now. Autumn and I text regularly. Mrs. Henderson sends me care packages and calls me on my birthday every year. Mr. Garrett came to my college graduation. They saved me, all of them. My parents, Diane and Richard, I can't call them mom and dad anymore. They tried reaching out a few times over the years. Letters mostly, which I never opened. An email on my 18th birthday that I deleted without reading. A Facebook message when I graduated college that I blocked. Then, last week, I got a handwritten letter forwarded through my lawyer. They're older now, apparently. Diane has health issues. Richard retired early. They claim they've been in therapy, that they understand what they did, that they want to apologize, to make amends, to have a relationship. The letter sits on my kitchen counter. I've read it a dozen times, looking for something genuine, something that feels real. But all I see are the same self-centered people who chose a vacation over their daughter. All I hear is, we deserve it. I think about that 11-year-old girl eating plain rice alone at the kitchen table, saving a $20 bill like it was a lifeline. I think about how small I felt, how invisible, how utterly worthless. I think about how I believed for years that I wasn't worth more than $20. It took me a long time to understand that their neglect wasn't a reflection of my value. It was a reflection of their emptiness. Lauren says the choice is mine. Angela, who I still have coffee with sometimes, says I should do whatever feels right for me. Mrs. Henderson says she'll support me no matter what. Mr. Garrett says some wounds are too deep for simple apologies. Brooklyn says, do you really think they've changed? Or do they just want to feel better about themselves before they die? That's the question, isn't it? So I'm asking you, if your parents reached out after years of silence with apologies and claims they've changed, would you give them a second chance? Because I genuinely don't know what to do with mine.